Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. My name is Cindy. Thank you so much for being here. It's lovely to sort of feel like I'm kind of getting back into some kind of a routine. We'll see how long it lasts and if it holds water. You are going to be seeing this on May 19th. So, how did I get to be that far into May? Anyways, I want to do 4 quick looks at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I want to see how Matt Gaetz is doing because his friend Joel Greenberg has now pleaded guilty to 6 counts. I want to see how Rudy Giuliani is doing because he is in just a lot of trouble. And I want to take a look at Trump because I have a feeling that mentally he is just going down a road that is just like flat out filled with fantasy. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments, your thumbs up, all of the views. I'm so grateful, especially because, I was away for a while or sporadic at best. And I'm very, very thankful that you all hung in there with me. I also, thank you so much for the lovely comments with regards to the Soulprint Insights video, with regards to when pets go into the light. And of course, I'm thrilled to see that you all are enjoying the Pick Your Crystal weekly readings. So here we go. I think maybe we're going to start with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm just going to sort of, I think it's going to honestly be pretty much the same question for all 4 of them. So, Greene, current trajectory, Greene, current trajectory, Greene, current trajectory. What do we have here? Okay, so the sort of track she's on, the road she's on right now, is being represented by the World, the 3 of Pentacles, and the 8 of Swords. Whoopsie, 8 of Swords. So what this is telling me is that she single-handedly is creating a situation where she's going to find herself, kind of like the master of her own demise, right? I mean, she keeps going after AOC, and now Nancy Pelosi is saying, you know what, we're going to do an investigation on that. And so there's like a lot going on with her. And it really does feel like her job, as she sees it, is almost like to just stir the pot. That's how she perceives herself, as kind of that troublemaker. And boy, oh boy, she's doing a good job of that. But the problem is that she does not have the support of the Republican Party. It's like every time she opens her mouth, they just quiver. They shake their heads and they're like, I wish she would just shut up. Because what she does is she draws kind of the very worst of the party. And God knows there's a lot to choose from when it comes to the worst of the Republican Party. But she really has a way of just spouting off at the mouth and, it not serving her very, very well. I have to say, and I don't know anything about her except what I see on television, but she strikes me as someone who, in some ways, speaks before she thinks, or worse, thinks about what she's going to say and doesn't find any flaws or fault in it. So, she doesn't have that sort of critical thinking capacity. Okay, so we've got the Sun, you've got the Knight of Swords, and you've got the Devil. So she is going to sort of continue on her way, and she is going to continue trying to focus that really bright spotlight on herself. Unfortunately, the more she does that, the more really, really negative attention she is drawing to herself. And that is going to create some sort of an investigation. And, this is the thing. It feels like it's not just going to be one area that's going to be investigating her. So, it'll be interesting to see if there is an investigation started by the House with regards to her continual harassment to Cortez. But it also feels like she may be actually in some more trouble from another source or another area than we realize or we see right now. So don't be surprised if somewhere down the road there isn't something in the news about her being investigated for something. I don't know what it could be. I don't know if it's going to come from investigations from the state that she is in or a federal investigation. I don't know what it is, but it definitely feels like this behavior is shining too much light on her wrongdoing. And it's going to end up kind of being a problem. She was already stripped of committee work, and she just is like, she's one of those people who is like on a slippery slope and just does not seem to be able to understand that. Like, she just sort of, but there's going to be judgment raining down on her head. And she's going to keep pushing and pushing until she literally almost pushes herself right out the door. I also feel like her, and I'm sorry, I don't even know what state she represents, but I feel like there is some of her constituents who are really getting to that place that they're really getting embarrassed. I mean, okay, she's obviously from a red state, and there's a lot of people who support her because she was elected. But as she continues to go on and really act in an immature and childish way, she's going to start losing support. And that's not going to do well for her because she doesn't have the support of the Republican Party, right? I mean, it's not like when she does and says these crazy things, people are jumping to her defense and saying, oh, she's right, or we support her. They're like silent. And this is one of those cases, honestly, where the silence is deafening. It says a lot. And again, she just doesn't seem to be able, willing, or capable of recognizing that she's really done it to herself. She's really creating these problems for herself by her very behavior. So I think she is going to be in for a bit of a bumpy road. I also think that she has some connection to the insurgents, and I'm not getting real clarity on what that is. But there's also, it feels very much like the and there's going to be that commission for with regards to January 6th. It's gonna happen, even though the Republicans are like, oh no, that's not good. But it feels like there could be something that comes out then that really, really does not cast her in a good light. I absolutely love, by the way, for those of you who may not have seen it, have missed it. So a day or two ago, there was that guy who in a committee hearing about the January 6th events, he was the one who said, well, it just looked like any other, tourists going through the Capitol. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And then literally there was a picture that surfaced of him with, 5 or 6 other guys literally pushing some heavy furniture against the door and barricading the door because they were all scared that, the insurgents were going to come in. So he just looks stupid. There's just not a nice way to say that one. Okay, let's take a look at Gates, shall we? It's like somehow these days, it feels to me like Gates, Trump, and Giuliani are sort of creating like an unholy trio. It's like, it's not good. Okay, so let's take a look at Matt Gaetz. One wonders how his personal life is going. I'm sure his fiance is not all that thrilled with him. But let's take a look just generally at Matt Gaetz and see what's happening for him. Okay, so Gaetz' current trajectory, Gaetz' current trajectory, Gaetz' current trajectory. Okay, all right. In the immediate future, what you're going to see is him continuing to defend himself, yak, 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 saying a bunch of things that don't make any sense, defending his actions, defending what he did, saying people are misreading it, they're not seeing it, you know, the way it really was. He's going to keep on keeping on. And the thing of it is he's got the Hermit here, right? And he's got the Six of Cups. So it feels as if in some ways he's almost not like capable of understanding the severity of what is coming at him. It is as if he has lived a life so entitled that he really doesn't, it's like he knows this is serious, but I don't think he is really actually recognizing the degree of seriousness that it is. He really still sort of thinks that powers that be, you know, whether that's daddy or Trump, who apparently is like snubbing him these days for good reason. But he still seems to think that somebody is going to save his butt. And that just doesn't look like it's going to happen. You've got the Angel of Temperance here. And so that suggests that this is something that needs to be balanced. His behavior needs to be balanced out. Because there were a lot of wrongs committed. And it feels very much like almost a reckoning or a balancing out is upon him. So going forward, it looks a little bit like some of these relationships of his are going to come under some scrutiny, and that it feels like people from the past, other people he dated, et cetera, are actually talking. And they're not talking to Matt Gaetz, okay? They're talking to investigators. And that is also sort of going to come back on him. Interestingly, he has the Two of Cups here, followed by the Five of Swords. So do not be surprised if that engagement of his really hit some rocky waters. Now, I got to say, I think it's pretty rocky behind the scenes already, but that rocky may start bleeding into the public. And you know, it's curious because she is not going to, and I don't know anything about, I don't even know her name. She is energetically, she feels like that person who will put up with a lot because she's into status, she's into, you know, the look, um the name, whatever, you know, rocks her boat. Um, but it also feels like she got the world here. So, you know, it's very possible that this thing may come to an end simply because she's starting to recognize that, yeah, you know what, it's real possible that this is not going to turn out very well and I'm going to end up like in a bad situation. So the two cards that represent what Gaetz has to look forward to is the Five of Cups and the Eight of Swords. So it definitely looks like there's going to be sorrow. He is going to face loss. He is not going to be able to put back what has been destroyed. He's not going to be able to spin it sufficiently. He's just not going to be able to. And I don't know at this point whether, you know, jail is on the horizon for him, but definitely it feels very much like there are indictments. And the other thing is, too, listen up, there is going to be more than him indicted. I don't understand Florida politics. I don't quite understand what goes on there. But it feels and sounds like it's incredibly corrupt. And their fortunes the whole cabal of them, if you will, are going to start changing. There's a lot of people under investigation, and it, it's going to get really ugly before this thing ends. There's going to be a lot of dirty laundry that comes out. But this is going to really, really shake Florida up. And frankly, it feels like that's sort of a long time coming. DeSantis, I'm getting an image of him, and it feels like in some ways he's not going to be able to. I mean, he has nothing to do with this, right? And part of him is going to want to try to pretty it over and cover it up. And part of him is like, I can't get involved with this, right? If my buddy Trump isn't interfering, well, I can't either. So definitely for Gates, he doesn't have support. I mean, he's not liked, right? I mean, everybody knows that he's like really not liked. So you got that, but you also have other people whose feet are going to be held to the fire. And so it feels like that's going to actually end up being a very messy situation. So you have the devil followed by the Ace of Swords. So definitely the law is going to be raining down on Matt Gaetz. It definitely feels like he is, and the thing is, it's coming, but I don't feel it's coming like really, really, really fast. This is going to be one of those situations where by time they sort of charge him, they are going to make sure that they have their, what is that? Their I's dotted and their T's crossed. So that's going on, but they are doing an incredibly thorough, painstakingly thorough investigation. And again, because he doesn't have any friends, there is nobody rallying in his corner. There's nobody saying, well, let's cut the guy some slack. It's not happening. And so it's like him and Green wandering around talking about the stupid America First agenda that nobody is like biting, okay? Except some MAGNA people who just are beyond rational thought at this point. I saw something the other day that said something like only 33% of Republicans actually believe that Joe Biden won the election. That is a huge number of people who are misinformed and or don't want to be informed. But again, remember what I keep saying, the Republican Party in and of itself is shrinking. So, you know what? Like 70% of 100 people, it's not that big a number. And I'm not saying the Republican Party's down to 100, but what I'm saying is the Republican Party is bleeding supporters, absolutely bleeding supporters. And the thing about Marjorie Greene, let me just say, part of the reason that she's sort of being tolerated is apparently she is quite the fundraiser. But it feels very much like that also is going to diminish for her. The two of them are kind of not going to end up having the futures that they thought that they were going to have. It looks like a lot of stuff is going to be stripped away from them. All right, let's look at Mr. Giuliani. He's in trouble. Oh my God, he is in so much trouble. And those of us who have been paying attention to, what's been going on for years, every single one of us, if we were asked, what is the most important thing that you do when you are under investigation? What's the big thing you do? Every single one of us would say, shut up, don't talk. And there he is on Fox and whatever other, conservative right-wing media platforms there are, on, and the guy won't shut up. And so he's not. This is the thing. It's like he knows better, but it's almost as if you're dealing with somebody who is just so desperate that he is relying on behaviors, I want to say, that worked in the past. Okay, so one of the things that Giuliani was really good at doing was talking, right? He could talk circles around things. He could justify things. He could excuse things. He just had a real way with speaking, getting the facts out there and the spin out there that he wanted. And so he thinks that if he keeps doing that, it's going to work for him. But what he doesn't understand is he is no longer New York's mayor. He is no longer the Southern District's director or whatever that is. He is a corrupt man who has put his fingers in too many corrupt piles. So let's just take a look and see what is going on with Giuliani, shall we? Here we go. Giuliani current trajectory, Giuliani current trajectory, Giuliani current trajectory. Oh, okay. So for right now, in the immediate future, there's going to actually be some more bad news that comes for him. Either an expanded investigation, a new investigation, or things leak from the investigation, but the law's like coming at him, and he is going to just continue to talk. He just doesn't get that he really, really needs to be quiet. He has lost the ability to go inward. Like in some ways, he is so panicked and so frightened. And even though he, tries to play a good game of not showing it in public, he really is. And it almost feels in some way as if he's completely detached, like from himself, right? He's just, honestly, it feels like he's just reacting on instinct. And those instincts are not serving him. He is literally hanging himself. It's just as straight as that. And he also is going to continue to lose support. Donald Trump does not want to play with him. And so he won't. And this burden he is going to continue to carry. And anything that he thought was any support that he thought was going to come from Trump is not going to, in part because, karma, it's a bitch, right? He was the one who yak when Cohen was indicted and sent to jail. He had a hell of a lot to say about that and never once thought about what happens to Trump's attorneys, what happens to the people closest to him. For some crazy reason, he thought he was, so he thought he was smarter than the Trump and the Trump family, and maybe that's actually true. But there's definitely a sense that he really believed that he could outmaneuver them, and he talks about having insurance against them. His insurance is not going to add up to a hill of beans. It's really not. And part of the reason for that is that you can't shame the Trumps. There's literally not a whole lot that he can do or say that is going to impact the Trumps. Sure, it may give some investigators some more ammunition, some more leads, some more roads to travel down, but whatever insurance he says he has, I don't believe, first of all, that it's really there. And if in fact it is there, I don't see it amounting to a whole heck of a lot of anything. He is going to continue to legally push back and fight, but I really energetically feel as if he is, it's like a slow leak in a tire, right? It's like day by day, he becomes a little bit more defeated and a little bit more depleted. And the more that happens, the more he tries to puff himself up in public to feed his ego. I have always said about Giuliani, his thing is about being relevant. He wants to be important. He wants to be relevant. He wants to be that person who other people turn to and go to. He wants to be considered like, the guy. And he's not. And he isn't. And I really don't see that happening. But the more he continues to struggle to get there, or to maintain that, literally the worse he makes it for himself. And again, there's like this detachment, right? It's like he doesn't see the harm he's doing for his own self, for his own case, for his own defense. He just doesn't seem to get it. He's scared, but he's not really prepared to change his behavior. He sort of sees being quiet as being weak. Okay, he must have learned that from the Trump family playbook. But there's definitely that sense that he doesn't want to be quiet because he doesn't want to be seen as weak and retreating. So yeah, all the more power to him. Let's take a look at Trump, shall we? And the reason I'm wanting to take another look at Trump, because it feels like I did that not that long ago, but apparently there's, over the weekend, apparently he sent out like attacks on Pence and McConnell. And apparently there's word that he is just sounding more and more deranged and frankly more and more disconnected from reality. He's holed up in Mar-a-Lago right now. And I just want to see if I can get some clarity on what is going on behind the the castle walls. Here we go. Trump current trajectory, Trump current trajectory, Trump current trajectory. I can tell you that whatever comes down, he is going to fight it with everything he has. I don't think it's going to be successful, but he's going to fight it. Okay. He is going to continue to play this I'm the 45th president, right? I mean, apparently he hates to be referred to as the former president. So he's going to continue to play that card and continue to try to hold on to what he believes is his glory days as president, okay? You have to understand that at this point, and it's kind of 6 of one and half a dozen of another, and I'm not sure which came first, like the chicken or the egg, but he really now is at a place where he actually believes the election was stolen, okay? He does not seem to understand, because he keeps going back to, my numbers were great 2 days before, and where did it go? Well, he doesn't understand that they weren't giving him the honest numbers because he was so volatile. Let's just start there. So he really, his brain kind of can't comprehend exactly what happened. So there's that. Sorry, they're showing me a really funny image, and I'm not quite sure why. Some of the pictures I get in my head, honestly, are quite amusing. So they're literally showing me a groom standing at the front of, a church, and this bride walking down the aisle. And she gets about halfway there, stops, pivots, and runs out of the church. And the groom is just standing there like gasping like a guppy, because it's not like, she phoned that morning and said, yeah, I'm not going to go through with this. It was like she got halfway there. And that's really sort of a good analogy, I guess, for how Trump sees it, right? He was the groom waiting for his prize, waiting for his bride. And it was going and going, it was coming closer and closer as far as he was concerned, and then it just pivoted. And so he really doesn't understand in some real basic ways why this didn't turn out the way all of his advisors said it would. Well, part of the reason for that is because they were lying to him because he was so crazed. Nobody wanted to actually get that blowback in their face. So he's going to continue to try to play that card, and I just don't know that it is going to help him. And the reason I'm saying that is he has the Knight of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords sitting here. And so it is as if his dealings, his shenanigans, the money, the behavior, the things he himself has said, because he also couldn't shut up, are really, really going to be his downfall. And he doesn't see it because he thinks that he won. There's that. And then he really believes he's invincible because he was, the 45th president. But more than that, he never seems to have consequences for his actions. And I don't mean to shatter the guy's illusions, but it really, really does look like not only are there going to be consequences that ends the illusion that he has, but they're going to be abundant. Okay, like he's not going to be able to come out of this. He's really, really not. They are doing such deep searches on him, and it's really not going to work in his favor. So for him, I see him continuing to try to manipulate and maneuver the Republicans because he believes that's his. Apparently, there's some conventions going up in, I don't know, some state somewhere around the country. And he's planning on attending those. And you absolutely know he's going to get up on that stage and do an hour-long monologue about how the darn thing was stolen from him. And all those people are going to lap it up like cream. And it feeds his ego temporarily, but what he doesn't understand is that the people that are coming for him are not his supporters. And frankly, they're not Biden supporters. For the most part, they're pretty much neutral. They're investigators, and they're trying to get to the bottom of some of these situations. And he just doesn't understand. Sorry, he just doesn't understand that those people who are sort of coming after him, they're not intimidated by him, right? They're really not. So he thinks he can continue to sort of push this narrative. It's not really going to work. And definitely, there's an energy that when he when they sort of come for him, whether that's indictments or whatever goes on there, it very much feels like he is just going to do everything he can to fight this. Not only do I think that he's going to cause a real stink, about it, but he's going to drag this thing through the courts as long as he can. But again, it just feels like the stuff that he was able to pull because he was president, it's not going to fly. And, more and more Republicans are sort of saying, God almighty, enough already. I heard that the people in Arizona, I'm not sure the state, whoever it is that sort of authorized the ridiculous farce of a recount, they have gotten together and they've said enough is enough. It needs to stop. So again, the support is waning. He just doesn't have it. Okay, so so I've swam around in a bunch of icky energy. In some ways, I think the ickiest of the United States. So we're going to have to see what happens to all of these people. But in the meantime, I certainly thank you so much for your support. I really enjoy your comments. I read all of them. Thank you. Until next time, take care. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye.